Here at Adisawe Kanda in Accra, I am Emmanuel Samwana. Top stories for this hour. In the bulletin this afternoon, full house expected as Parliament considers 3 revenue handles proposed by government as part of measures to secure an IMF bailout. We'll bring you details from Parliament shortly. Also in the bulletin in the Savannah region. Stay with us. And later on in the bulletin, on the international front, Nigeria's secret police say it is monitoring possible threat to democratic rule. Many thanks for your time. Remember, we're live on DSTV channel 279 all around the world on 3news.com and across the social media platforms. You can find us at TV3 Ghana. Let's settle for the details now, because Parliament is expected to consider new tax bills currently before the House as part of measures to secure a $3 billion deal with the International Monetary Fund. The tax handles are the Income Tax Amendment Bill, Excise Duty and Excise Stamp bills, as well as the Growth and Sustainability Levy Bill. Government is seeking to pass these bills to generate approximately 4 billion cedis per year to supplement domestic revenue. Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta has charged Parliament to speed the passage of the 3 revenue bills. A call by the Finance Minister comes in the wake of a pushback from the business community and organized labor against the passage of the bills, describing them as unjustified and burdensome. The Minister of Finance is of the view its passage will help generate some and also mobilize to help its transactions with the IMF. Well, let's take a listen to what Ken Ofori-Atta has been saying at the official launch of the online tax clearance rolled out by the GRA.
Parliament, in the national interest, will pass these bills before the close of the week, and it will not be seen as disloyalty to any one party. So if I may be permitted to use the word, fellow Ghanaians, we are a blessed nation indeed that has fallen into this temporary trough. And I'm more convinced now than ever that we are a blessed nation. A week ago, I was in China to meet their finance minister and various institutions about their support for our IMF program. And the Lord certainly went ahead of us. China is a big country. The Minister of Finance is a big man. But the Minister of Finance of China gave us, the Ghana delegation, almost an hour and a half of his time. And not only did he do that, but he also called the chairman of the Exim Bank of China to join him to talk through ways in which they can support, facilitate us to make sure we get our IMF transaction. So indeed, America is ready for us. We saw Kamala Harris here. Germany has been here. The finance minister has been. The Europeans are behind us. The fund is behind us. It's left of our own parliament.
Well, you heard the finance minister there, Ken Ofori-Atta. But let's cross over now and join our correspondent, Komla Kluche, who is stationed at Parliament for more on this. Komla, many thanks for your time. We know that Parliament is rising today. Take us through what are some of the likely outcomes from today.
Well, topmost on the agenda of Parliament today is the revenue bills that they need to consider. Well, expectedly, many are assuming, or many would be expecting that both the majority and the minority would be meeting over this, back door to see what they could be doing, if they could reach a consensus on this. But from the indication that I get from my sources within the 2 caucuses, there hasn't been any consensus on this matter. And so, quoting, for instance, the minority chief whip, Kwame Govins-Agbodza, he says that he does not see any minority MP who will support these taxes, and that for them as a minority group, they are not going to support any new taxes. What it so means is that, well, I mean, government can bring the taxes. When they bring it, the decision will be left to the rest of the House to take. What that would mean is that, well, if they go through the debate and everything is done, then the Speaker will put the question. If the Speaker puts the question and then he asks for the ayes, and he takes the voice vote on it and asks for the nays, and takes the voice vote on it. It's at his discretion. Depending on which one he hears louder, he will. But if this goes, for instance, the favor of the majority, then looking at the numbers, that's if the numbers as we have it today, from indications, they are 136 plus, an independent making 137, whilst the minority is 136. But if from their own intel, they see that one MP is not there, then it possibly could be challenged to a head count. If it's challenged to a head count and it all amounts to 136 apiece, then it means that the vote will be lost then. But the hope of government, and for that matter, the majority, is that they'll be able to reason together with the minority to have these bills passed. The minority makes the point that irrespective of the argument being advanced, which they think that they are, for want of a better word, and these are their own words, that government officials seems to be blackmailing them, saying that if they do not approve of this bill, the country will grind to a halt. The finance minister, some few weeks or few months back, said if they do not secure the IMF loan by the end of March, the country will grind to a halt. It's the 31st, the last day of the month of March. It doesn't appear that we are getting an IMF deal, and they think that, of course, this country is not going to grind to a halt, irrespective of the fact that the times are challenging for the country economic-wise.
All right.
So
finally, before I let you go, Komla, is there any indication that the CI will be taken before they rise?
It's listed on the order paper. My sources within the leadership of the House does not suggest that they may be considering that before they leave. But this is the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. They are masters of their own rules before they rise. And today's meeting is likely to go deep and possibly into the early hours of tomorrow. It may be possible that they would be bringing it, but it's not listed on the order paper as we speak now.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your time. Our parliamentary correspondent, Komla Klutse, updating us on the latest. But you want to stay with us right here on your Election Command Center for updates on that particular development. But away from Parliament, a sub-chief of the Tule traditional area of the central Gonja district of the Savannah region in Pegura, Abdul Rahman, had allegedly been shot by unknown assailants over a land dispute between the Tule and Kapandi traditional areas. According to TV3 sources, the chief was returning from the market with his son when they were attacked. A sad development which happened in the late hours of Thursday, 30th March 2023, has heightened tension in the area.
The two traditional areas have over the past decade been battling a land dispute, which is currently before the Gonja Traditional Council. A clash in 2021 saw the loss of 2 lives with properties destroyed within the two paramouncies. According to TV3 sources, the slain chief was returning from the market with his son when unknown gunmen opened fire at them. The chief died at the spot, with his son sustaining various degrees of gunshot injuries. The killing of the chief has heightened tension in the area. Though it is not confirmed who the perpetrators are, the people of Tolwe traditional area suspect the people of Kapandi are responsible for the killing of the chief. Security has since been beefed up in the area. On Wednesday, March 29, Savannah Regional Minister and Chairman of the Savannah Regional Security Council, Said Muaz Jibro, led a delegation of RECSEC to pay a courtesy call on the newly enskinned Yegbenwura, B. Kunuto Jewu Swale I, at his private residence in Damango. The minister appealed to the new Yagbonwura to intervene in the land dispute between the Tuluwe and Kakpande traditional areas.
There are some outstanding issues that are creating insecurity in the region. For that matter, Gonja land, of which he is the head of the Gonja kingdom. We have land disputes between Panshao and then the Janton area. Even your own traditional area, Tuluwe, is having a problem with Panshao. Those are potential areas where we think that if we don't go into those issues to resolve them, he will not have peace in his kingdom. And therefore, and I know he's a straightforward and straight-speaking king. I know these matters are things that he can resolve within a matter of time. And so we are here to lend our full support to him. That one, we are not going to unflinch on our support to the king.
There's some more stories this afternoon, and oil prices dipped on Friday with benchmarks heading for their weakest monthly performance since November, ahead of key U.S. inflation data, which could give clues on future interest rates moves and strengthen the dollar. Brent futures, which have risen nearly 5% this week, were down 63 cents or 0.8% at 78.62 barrels as of 8 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude fell 44 cents or 0.5% to $73.93, having gained about 7% so far this week. Well, let's go on Zoom now and speak with Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, who's an energy expert. Doctor, many thanks for your time. Now, we know that crude oil has continued to drop, with markets expected to drop even further as we're expecting an announcement of the U.S. inflation figures. What else have you picked up?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you and your cherished viewers in Ghana and across the globe. Yes, indeed. Let's see what the market outlook was just before following this announcement. So there's so much expectation in this announcement because it could either take the market in any direction. Whilst producers will likely want the market to still shoot up, as from the first week, from this week going up, consumers like Ghana will always be wishing that the market gets stable, or if for anything at all, the market dips. And so, yes, if you notice, yes, cumulatively, we're going to have a monthly drop. A cumulative monthly drop of crude oil prices is undoubtedly. Because if you look at last month, oil was selling around 85. Let's say, Brent. Brent was going for $86 per barrel. Now, as a result of the sudden collapse of these two U.S. banks, that is Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Banks. In fact, it sent a lot of shivers into the financial community, the financial system, and so that has resulted in drastic drop in oil prices. So
yeah, I was gonna get to that, Doc. I was going to get to that, but let's talk about the next pricing window, which begins tomorrow. We know that it's set for to record another, price reduction. How is the international markets going to influence this drop in the second pricing window of April?
Yeah, quite a lot. If you look at what the consumer pays at the pump, undoubtedly, what the commodity sells within the international space plays a major role in whatever the price build-up is going to be. Of course, yes, so we are expecting that, this drop over the year, over the month, will likely cascade to the pumps. However, it's not the only factor when it comes to Ghana. I think the exchange rate has been very favorable in these days, these few weeks or these few months. So yes, the exchange rate stability coupled with, a drop in the commodity within the international space will likely see, that cascade into the pumps. So yes, the international price will likely have impact, on the price at the pump.
All right. Now, Dr. Sulemana, talking about that banking crisis, which saw the collapse of some tomb banks in the U.S., which has triggered some, flights from oil to gold. Why is this so? And how is this also going to affect Ghana's Gold for Oil program?
Yeah, so if you notice commodity trading, commodity trading is not just the fiscal money that is available, but the sentiment as in confidence within the system. So if you notice the phenomenal collapse of these two banks, this Signature Bank and Silicon Valley, it sent a lot of shivers within the financial community, and there was a tendency that we could have spillovers. And if you notice, for the timely intervention of the central banks from US and that of European world, would have having other banks follow suit. You remember Credit Suisse, they had about $54 million injected into the system just to liquidate the banks. Yeah, so these were learnings from 2008 crisis. And the reason why people were so scared about the whole thing is that it was almost possible that we could have 2008 crisis repeating itself. And if you notice 2008 crisis, this is how it started. So yes, that will have impact. And so when the confidence like that is dwindled, investors will likely look for safe haven. And I think gold provides that conduit for a kind of safe haven for investment. So yes, if you notice that drop in the oil prices because of the banking crisis as a result of loss in confidence, investors who pull their money out from the banking sector will not want to keep it, but would like to find a safe haven for it. And I think gold provided that. And that's how come, actually, if you look at gold prices within that space, it actually went to 1,900 thereabout, $1,900 per ounce, and that's unprecedented. And if the confidence doesn't return back as we speak, I think it could likely go to 2,000. And so what does it take for Ghana oil gold to oil, as you rightly asked? It's an interesting mixed bag as we speak. It could have been a straightforward answer if actually Ghana, we had control over our gold. This is the situation. If we have control over our gold, it means that it would have been straightforward, a positive ramification. But that would mean that with little amount of gold, we can get so much petroleum product. But of course, this gold, we have to buy it, and we may buy it within the international market price. So that's where the dynamic is going to be. So it's going to pose a lot of challenge to the program. Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for your time. Dr. Yusuf Sulemana is an energy expert speaking to us there. Now let's still stay on matters of energy because the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, has announced there is a power generation shortfall due to maintenance works being undertaken by the Ghana National Gas Company at Atuabo. ECG has resulted in a load schedule management from Thursday, March 30 to Friday, April 7 between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. But the Executive Director at the African Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Ben Boache, however, thinks this should have been planned and not put the consumer at a disadvantage.
It's not anything unexpected. They should have expected that they were going to shut down and plan adequately for it. And I think it's been recurrent. Anytime they have a maintenance shutdown, we have to shed load to be able to accommodate the shutdown. It clearly tells you that there is some room for improvement in planning our power system. Right from the times when we exited generation shortage, fuel supply periodically becomes an issue because we are not planning well enough to be able to offset some of these challenges. Interestingly, we have a power system that should be able to address these kinds of problems. For example, we have dual fuel plants in Abuaze that can take, light crude oil if you don't have gas to run them. The fundamental question is, where are they? Where are those plants? And why are there not enough crude oil to be able to turn those turbines on to forestall, this load shedding that is being imposed on the consumer? And it's almost as if, on a permanent basis, a consumer that need not care about when a power plant will go on or off is always being informed about how gas system works, how the power generation system works, how the transmission system works. But that is none of the business of the consumer. All the consumer wants is a stable supply of power, and let them focus on doing what they do best.
Well, for more on this, let's go on Zoom and speak with Leila Abubakar, is the External Communications Manager for ECG. Leila, many thanks for your time. We know that some areas had complained of power cuts earlier before this announcement. Is it that the load shedding had even begun days before the release by the ECG?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to explain, that 7 days have already gone by where some of the load was being shed because we were expecting that Ghana Gas would finish its maintenance work much more quickly so that we would have just gone without any announcement or involving the public in that manner. But I think the load of work to do is yet to be completed. And so we are still going to shed for the next few days.
Now, some energy experts argue that this maintenance could have been done without this load shedding. How do you respond to this?
Unfortunately, my business is in selling electricity and I take my power from Gridco. I think those questions should go to the electricity generators.
Now, per your release, can you run by us, the timetable for this load shedding?
So we have categorized our customers into 4 groups, A, B, C, and D. And for whichever is due to be in the load shedding for the day, your power would go off from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. I've actually experienced the power coming back much sooner than 11 p.m. But whenever your lights go off, you should have uninterrupted power for the next 3 days until the next time where you are scheduled to go off again. And so for the next 7 days, customers, especially those who are in groups B, C, and D, would not be going off more than twice from the schedule that we have. I think it's only customers in Group A who would experienced it 3 times. So Group A went off yesterday, they'll go off again on Monday, and then I think on Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
Before the exercise ends.
All right. Now, some consumers are demanding some form of compensation as a result of this load shedding. Would your company provide some form of compensation for these individuals who are affected?
If it's our fault, definitely. I think the PURC has a system where customers can report or lay some of these complaints. If it's as a result of our operations, we will bear whatever the final judgment is. If it's not our fault, then unfortunately it wouldn't be ECG paying those debts. So this is as a result of gas shortage. It is not because ECG has the electricity and is refusing to supply to its customers. It is because there's a problem from the generation point, which in a few days' time should, and that's the reason why we're informing customers, so that if you find yourself in your group, you will make sure that your appliances and all your equipment in your house are secured before 6 o'clock, so that we minimize the incidence of some of these distractions to our appliances.
I want to thank you so much for your time. Leila Abubakar is the External Communications Manager of the Electricity Company of Ghana. Let's bring some more stories this afternoon, because the minority is this afternoon taking on government for failure to release allocations for the National Health Insurance Scheme despite collecting over 3.6 billion earmarked for the sector. Ranking member on the Health Committee, Kobina Menta Akando, is also asking for a forensic audit of the IT infrastructure of the service, but the majority is asking the NDC MPs to be realistic in their demands. Listen.
It was estimated, and in fact, in actual collection, government collected about 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. Out of the 3.6 billion Ghana cedis, government took about 1.7 billion Ghana cedis away. So they were supposed to pay the National Health Insurance Fund about 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. And if you check the formula they presented yesterday, 0 Ghana cedis was paid. Nothing, absolutely nothing has been paid. Now, this is a dangerous trend to collapse the National Health Insurance Scheme. Sometimes you hear that there's an outbreak of measles, there's an outbreak of polio, tetanus, and what have you. It is because some of these allocations are not paid on time, so we don't get the money to buy these vaccines, and it results in this outbreak of vaccines, and sometimes we lose some of our babies and children, and which is quite avoidable. We need to put pressure on government as a matter of urgency to release whatever money that is due the National Health Insurance Authority to be able to run the scheme effectively. During the consideration of the formula, we realized that the allocations, the IT component of the allocation is too high. So last year, for example, it was about 205 million Ghana cedis. Of course, this year it's been brought down to about 83 million Ghana cedis, but we still think that there should be a forensic audit, an independent probe into the IT component of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
I can tell you, but not for the average of 2 months delay in processing. Now, we are averaging 5 months delay in the release of the funding. But there's a broader picture, and the broader picture is the discretionary powers exercised by the Minister of Finance. And it is not peculiar to this minister. Setekpe exercised that powers, and it's run down various governments. But you see, our colleagues should also be fair to admit that regardless of the difficulties, we recorded some very positives. Some positive. For instance, for the first time, childhood cancer has been added onto the bill to be taken care of by NHI. Apart from childhood cancer, sickle cell, then breast cancer, which for a long time have not been part, have all been added. So they should be a bit considerate in their criticisms. We have taken it upon ourselves, and anytime the formula, before the formula is laid, leadership meets with them. There was a concern about ICT bill, which suggestion came from our side, and then the entire committee agreed to it, that they should go in for some forensic audit for us to be sure what is happening there. If there's a possibility of duplication of functions and all these are dealt with.
Let's bring you some more stories this afternoon, because it is one of the regions of the country with great tourism potentials. The ancient Larabanga Mosque and Mystic Stone, the Salaga slave markets, wells and baths of some of the famous tourist sites in the region that remain underdeveloped. In this Ghana Month report, my colleague Christopher Marco throws a spotlight on the Savannah region.
Carved out of the then northern region in 2019, the Savannah region is undoubtedly the largest in terms of landmarks, covering 35,853 square kilometers, making up about 15% of the total area of Ghana. It is a cosmopolitan region with Gonjas making up the majority. The region abounds with rich culture and tourism potentials, which are spread across every part of the region. The Moli National Park, which is Ghana's largest wildlife refuge, the ancient Larabanga Mosque and Mystic Stone, the Salaga slave wells and baths, the Daboya salt deposit, and smoke industry, among others, are all found in the region.
Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, Ihdina siratal mustaqim.
However, apart from the Moli National Park, which is protected, the rest have not seen any development despite getting international recognition. Locals here have been manning the sites and taking paltry amounts for their daily survival.
This is the Mystic Stone at Larabanga. People come here every day to pray and seek for the blessings of Allah and also pray for their heart desires. Na mfa ikligi nsamanye
ma tiamwi kufiana na akra umbrintu mo abamfe ne kiyilelo jeje na abamfe ne kiyilelo a champon luna Ghana government kike bebomo inu na abamfe ama bamamle kumu kulong bi sing.
We've never received any support from government, even though a lot of government officials have been coming here, even previous governments.
The travel and tourism sector in Ghana contributed about $3.1 billion to the country's gross domestic product in 2021. In 2022, Savannah region was included in Travel and Leisure's top 5 cities to visit in the U.S. and best weekend destination to visit by global travelers. Residents believe the development of these tourist sites in the region will open the region up for development while providing jobs for the youth.
So I think that let's come to the perspective of government. Successive government haven't paid attention to the development of tourism within the region. Apart from Moli National Park, which is very common for everybody, within the Savannah region, you come to Larbanga, we have the Larbanga Mystic Stone, as well as the Larbanga Mosque. This is one of the great tourism potential that successive government can explore to give a lot of youth jobs. A lot of youth are there who are not doing anything. But I believe that when it comes to tourism, or if successive government pay attention to development of tourism, looking at the huge revenue potential it has been given us, I think that it will go a long way to be able to push the region forward.
For the Savannah Regional Minister, the Regional Coordinating Council has begun engaging private developers to consider investing in the tourism of the region.
As we speak, one-on-one contacts with businessmen across the country. I have been able to get in touch with Jospon group of companies to tell him to come and invest in the tourist industry. Investment means that not only coming for hotels and whatnot, but also to develop those sites that can attract tourists to come into the region.
Let's come down south now because the Ewutu Senya East Municipal Assembly has started demolishing buildings and structures built on waterways and on roadways within the municipality. This is being done to make space for emergency responses and allow free flow of water when it rains.
Most flooding disasters in Ghana are attributable to the siting of buildings and structures on waterways and areas earmarked for roads. Additionally, these structures prevent access for emergency response teams during fire outbreaks, flood, and security crises. The Ewutu Senya East Municipal Assembly has embarked on massive demolition exercise to get rid of all structures it says are wrongly sited. The exercise took off after months of sensitization. Municipal and Planning Engineer for the Ewutu Senya East Municipal Assembly, Isaac Ofori, urged residents to work with the Assembly to ensure the protection of lives and property.
Clear a lot of buildings. Now you can see there's more trouble. You know, Ghana has a building regulations that all of us need to follow. Not only the people of Kaswa, but the whole country. Before you build in Ghana, you have to obtain building permit. And when it comes, some of this education will be given to you so that you not put buildings in areas like this or places like that. So they should come to an office, obtain building permit first before you can build. You come with your building drawings, your indenture, then you can start. Sometimes in the night they build at weekends. So what we have now instituted is that we have formed a team that very soon will be going around to work at weekends to check some of these things. We are here to make sure that you enforce the laws. So anybody who is putting up building, if you buy a land, you want to put up building, come to the assembly, let's give you the necessary education, then get a building permit.
Paul Nanayao Kakraba is the Ewutu Senya East Assembly Physical Planning Officer.
And it's going to continue municipal-wide. And this one will serve as a caution to all those who have built in this municipality without a permit, that from today, everybody should hurry up to the assembly, because the second phase, we are not going to consider anybody. So this one is just the first phase. So we are going to continue. We are going to make sure that all access roads that we have on our planning scheme are going to be clear. Those who have built on the access road, we are not going to spare anybody. So we appeal to politicians, chiefs, langers, not to come into this exercise that we are doing. So those who are building on access road, they are a threat to the community, but not those who are clearing them. So this exercise will continue until we make every community habitable.
Chief Osman Imoru is the chairman of the Landlords Association.
What they are doing is going to help us in many ways. I am using this opportunity to appeal to all landlords and residents to support the initiative. We have to help ourselves. by providing credible information to the Assembly about all wrongdoings That is the only way we can develop as a community.
Areas in the municipality like Ufiekuma, CP, Winga, and many others have been impacted by the exercise.
Well, still watching Midday Live from our news hub here at the Desawe Kanda in Accra. We'll take a quick breather. We'll return with more news. Don't go away.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
People fall and they rise. Make you no worry about the things you know we change. The things you know we do today, you go do them tomorrow.
Wow, this girl's got talent. You too can change your world, and it's affordable with Airtel Tigo data bundles. Bring your dreams to life with the best data bundles only on Airtel Tigo. Dial *111# now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
We are on a mission promoting access to quality health and education through the power of our media space. Since 2014, we have made great impact. TV3 mission now drives Ghana's quest to break barriers and provide access to inclusive and quality girls' education. Together with Women's Maternal Health Services, our mission to address the needs of the socially excluded has won the admiration of many. Indeed, TV3 Mission gets you the results. Mission is live on TV3 News 360 every Saturday and Sunday. Supported by Star Ghana Foundation, with thanks to Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. When the sun rises, there is hope. While this hope lingers on, the citizens look up to the government, the economy, the national development agenda, and everything in between. On Ghana Tonight, it's our utmost priority to bring you insightful conversations on the economy, break down the biggest issues while setting the agenda for transformation and national development. The big and important stories are treated from the human interest angle, while the facts and the figures are painted with precision. So now, let's cut the convention and start the conversation here on Ghana Tonight. I am your host, Alfred Okamsi.
Ghana Tonight shows Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. on TV3.
It's about to get more sporty with a touch of super entertainment with your favorite stars.
Times we played the Quitinga, the Chaskele, the football.
Who should I take? Tony Cruz?
Why? While keeping you up to date with every trending issue in your world of sports on Warmer Plus.
But in comes Thomas Tuchel and everything changes.
And when he said he wanted to be better than me, I was happy.
Let's keep it more sporty and super entertaining.
Warm Up Plus now shows on Saturdays at 11 a.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Betway.
Welcome back. Let's bring you some business news now. And the Bank of Ghana has reiterated that the 1 pesewa and 5 pesewa coins remain legal tender. The use of these lower denominated currencies have witnessed mixed reactions in transactions within market spaces and shops. The bank says the coins will remain in circulation and must be accepted and used as a means of exchange.
So when last did you chance on the 1 pesewa and 5 pesewa coins? The 1 pesewa and the 5 pesewa coins have been a currency of contention between buyers and sellers and traders in general. Some say it is even missing within the system, and others believe that this money should be phased out of the system.
The debate on 1 pesewa and 5 pesewa coins as legal tender has lingered on for some time. The two lower denominated currencies started circulating from 2007. Many traders have simply refused to accept these coins. We do not accept the coins because when you collect it and use it as change for the next customer, they also refuse to take it. With some transactions that require change, especially in the various malls, the 1 pesewa and 5 pesewas are often dominant. But consumers say these lower denominated currencies become a burden on them due to the refusal by most traders to accept it.
Normally, when I used to buy pure water and those kind of things, they said they will not take it. Now, it's not in the system because now everybody hide it.
Most of the times when you go to the shopping malls and then they are being given change, especially when they give you the 1 pesewa, you can't use it to buy anything. So it's just a waste of money.
Dominic Owusu is Director of Currency Management at the Bank of Ghana.
Having it in circulation does not cause any bother. But if you remove it from circulation, there is a psychological rounding up effect. So what the Bank of Ghana is saying that these coins have not been demonetized. They are still legal tender. If you make a purchase and you demand your change, you should be given. So because of that, we are still leaving it in circulation. I think that maybe you don't find it, but there are certain prices that are priced to make sure that people get changes in those denominations. So once it doesn't bother you, let it stay.
Although many believe the money may be out of the system, for the Bank of Ghana, the 1 pesewa and 5 pesewa coins still remains legal tender, and the general public must preserve the integrity of the currency. Nana Ekwia Mensah Brampa, 3 Business, Accra.
Now, government will be hoping to raise close to 1.5 billion cedis today on the treasury markets. This will be done through the issuance of the 91-day and 182-day treasury bills to refinance maturing bills worth over 1.2 billion cedis. The amount of 1.34 billion cedis which government wants to raise this week is far less than the 3.2 billion cedis it wanted to raise last week. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana increased the policy rate by 150 basis points to 29.50% to reinforce the pace of disinflation. However, market analysts believe the target may not be met considering the undersubscribation witnessed last week. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has rolled out online electronic tax clearance for all taxpayers. Vice President Dr. Bawumia, who launched the project, charged the GRA to ensure that more taxpayers are roped into the tax bracket.
The idea to have an electronic tax clearance certificate was promoted in 2019. The electronic tax clearance certificate is to make the payment of taxes easier by improving on the turnaround time for business-oriented Ghanaians. It is to also replace the manual way of applying for tax clearance certificate. To further enhance its operations, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has rolled out a tax compliance code, *880#. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who commissioned the projects, asked the GRA to rope in more taxpayers.
At any point in time, given the tools that have been put in place, any point in time, we will know who has filed their taxes and who has not filed. We will also know which property owners have paid their property taxes and who have not. Anybody can find their tax status. So it is incumbent on the GRA to leverage all these pillars and digital technology to ensure and enforce compliance.
Now, players across the mining sector are upbeat about the prospects of Ghana's extractive industry, despite what they describe as unfavorable fiscal regime. This comes on the back of the supposed growth and stabilization levy, which would see them pay 1% on their gross production to the state. Former President and MD of AngloGold Ashanti, Eric Osubonting, said the outlook presents hope for the sector despite the increase in taxes on the operations.
20 years and over each in this jurisdiction. We are here because we have confidence in Ghana as a mining jurisdiction. When I read out my comments and statements, I did touch on the fact that we see it as a preeminent jurisdiction in the mining industry, and that's why we are here. And that's why we can also look forward 20 years down the line, right, with this joint venture. There would be challenges that come in at certain times, but those would always be short-term challenges. We are able to look beyond that and to see the bigger long-term picture. And that bigger long-term picture is a positive one, in my view.
We have sports news with Kelvin Owusu-Amsa after this break. Don't go away.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, just like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer with a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my waist to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to all the extensive highlights, analysis, and insights.
So do join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 2FM 92.7 as we serve you the best sports buffet and most satisfying in the sports world. The three sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in the sports world here on Sports Ultras.
On Efira this Friday.
Security Abusia.
Yes. Me bow. I'm going to flip in a machine before.
$300. Call a police station at Chivo. Forest Bureau be never one. Na costs $300. Mame.
Police station at Chivo. Forest Beno. Forest be new. Do what I hope it. Mammy been a job out. And then about Forest.
Hey. What name's the Forex Bureau, baby? I say Saska.
Ah, no, 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 say so, can say bank, no. Now,
the bank, then saying. Ah? What soon it in no Forex Bureau? Mr. Police Station. Baby, I say Saska.
One more walk on Susu for no Forest. So, I'm also Saska.
So, what can we do Susu at so?
Top code. Odium Pepe.
Method. Malaria game changer, no.
Efira, this and every Friday at 8:30 p.m. on TV3.
We are on a mission promoting access to quality health and education through the power of our media space. Since 2014, we have made great impact. TV3 mission now drives Ghana's quest to break barriers and provide access to inclusive and quality girls' education. Together with Women's Maternal Health Services, our mission to address the needs of the socially excluded has won the admiration of many. Indeed, TV3 Mission gets you the results. Mission is live on TV3 News 360 every Saturday and Sunday. Supported by Star Ghana Foundation, with thanks to Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office.
Let's do some sports on Medal Live. My name is Kelvin Oswans. Starting from the Ghana Premier League, and Asante Kotoko settled for a 1-0 draw against Legon Cities on Thursday at the Elwak Stadium in the Ghana Premier League. Match day 24. Interim boss for Kotoko Abdullahi Gazelle hopes they correct their mistakes ahead of the RTU game on Sunday. Max Oknedo, however, reveals it was a difficult game with Kotoko's defensive approach.
We are working hard. You know, Kotoko without a trophy, there's no league. And the boys, they know it in their mind. And once we are going back to the house, we are going to work and then make sure that the rest of the game, we still have 11 matches to go. If you are able to get at least wins out of that particular matches, we are likely to come on top of the league. And that is what we are going to work on. We'll pick the match one by one. The next match is against RTU, and that is what we are playing at home. We cannot afford to lose that match, or we cannot afford to draw again.
That game is past and gone, and we can't bring that back. We only have to keep pushing and keep fighting until we climb up the ladder. We're not going to relegation, or the team will not be relegated. We'll climb up the ladder. Trust me, we'll climb up.
Now let's switch to boxing, and two-time Olympic champion Robeisy Ramirez is aiming to extend his winning run to 12 fights and win the vacant WBO featherweight title on Saturday. Now former WBO super bantamweight champion Isaac Dobe is the man standing Ramirez's way. Ahead of the bout, Dobe's camp is confident.
He got in touch with his trainer, who is part of Top Rank Promotion, and he says that the camp has been so good. When this fight was given by WBO from January, Dobe has been preparing since then, and so they say that the training has been good, the nutrition aspect has been good. And so the boxer is ready for the bout.
You can see we are all confident, and it's about Neho. We are taking the title and we are bringing it back home. You understand? You can see the shape from Isaac Dobe. You see his movement. I have a chance to run a little bit with him yesterday, and man, the guy is in good shape. And all we want to say is we need prayers from Ghana this time, because Isaac Dobe has trained well and everything is good. Mentally, the guy is strong.
These two boxers are from the same promotion, but with different coaches, and so it's going to be tough, and whoever comes tall is really going to reign for a while. Today is going to be the weigh-in, and so I believe that his camp has the ability, and for that matter, they are really waiting for this one.
So that was my colleague Daniel Yeboah, who is in the United States. There will be more updates in our subsequent bulletins. Now to World Athletics, and World Anti-Doping Agency President Wiltord Banker says the anti-doping system still needs to be strengthened and will require the full attention of everyone. He is currently on a tour in Ghana, and my colleague David Kofite filed this report.
World Anti-Doping Agency President Wiltord Banker is on a visit to Ghana for the first time with the aim to trumpet the message of anti-doping among athletes across Africa. Banker highlighted the need to strengthen the network of national anti-doping organizations throughout the continent. He acknowledged the important work being carried out by the Sports Ministry.
You know, always is room for development, so we are here to assist to strengthen the anti-doping system in Ghana. As I said, the main goal, the WADA's visit, my visit here, is not an audit visit. Of course, it's a big positive gesture from our side to really mark the presence of Ghana in the sporting environment.
That will be all for sports this afternoon here on Midday Live. Helena Piampo comes your way with entertainment.
Thank you for that, Kelvin. Let's now get into our entertainment stories. My name is Helen Apia Ampofo. The Director of Ecotourism Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission, Richard Jima, is positive that the country can generate so much from ecotourism if the wildlife conservations are protected.
With an increasing ecotourism industry, experts have said there's much to discover at Ghana's magnificent forests and wildlife reserves. According to data available at the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission, Close to 14,000 square kilometers out of the total land size of the country are wildlife conservations. Speaking ahead of TV3 and 3FM's expedition to the Shire Hills Resource Reserve and the Amajope Mountain, Director of Ecotourism, Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission, Richard Jima, highlighted the need to protect Ghana's wildlife.
Generally, we have come to know that if we actually concentrate on the non-consumptive value of the wildlife resources, especially through tourism, there's enormous benefits that we are going to gain. And this is what we want to educate the general populace about, that there's a need for us to conserve our wildlife resources in order to promote ecotourism. If you look at the country, the value that we can get from ecotourism is enormous. The value chain that ecotourism creates. People come, they watch the animals, they stay overnight, they spend in the country, and in the end, they'll boost the economy of the country. So these are the things that when we promote within our country, we are going to ensure that the economic benefits from our natural heritage, like wildlife resources, is put to the maximum utilization.
He wants Ghanaians to join the expedition to experience nature at its best.
It's going to be a wonderful expedition, and we know that people that will be able to make it are going to enjoy it to the fullest, because nature will be at its best. We are going to see nature in the wild. Tell you much, but I rather will encourage you to go there and find out things for yourself. If you also continue from Shire Hills and go to the Amazope Mountains, I know what you expect to see, the beautiful mountains in the Volta region.
The TV3 and 3FM's expedition to the Shire Hills Resource Reserve and the Amajope Mountains comes off this Saturday, April 1, 2023.
Now, the National Film Authority reacts to claims by filmmaker Spike Lee that no one from Ghana's Film Office approached him during his recent visit. According to the NFA, the authority reached out but were informed Spike Lee was busy. We have become aware of a circular on the visit of Mr. Spike Lee. As excited as we were to hear this news after he landed on air, the authority's CEO was on her way to meet Mr. Lee to reiterate the positioning when the authority was informed that his schedule was busy for the evening. The statement also added that all organizers of such trips are to inform the necessary agencies to ensure that Ghana takes full advantage of all opportunities. This comes after Spike Lee's comments on the film industry went viral on Thursday. And that's all we have for you by way of entertainment news today. We're handing over to Samani for some more on the international front.
Let's bring you some international news now. And supporters of Nigeria's ruling party are calling on the Department of State Services, often referred to as Nigeria's secret police, to name the politicians the agency says are plotting to set up an interim government to prevent the handover of power to President-elect Bola Tinubu. A secret police in a statement said some Nigerian politicians are plotting to institute an interim government ahead of May 29, when President Buhari is due to hand over power to President-elect Tinubu. Now, opposition parties continue to reject the outcome of the February presidential election in which Bola Ahmed Tinubu was declared the winner. Now, we know that the State Department of State Services says that politicians are trying to sponsor violent mass protests in major cities to warrant a declaration of a state of emergency and obtain frivolous court injunctions to forestall the inauguration of the new executive administrations. And that's how we wrap up with international. And that's it for Midday Live, coming to you live from our news hub here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. Of course, you can find more news when you log on to our website, s2news.com. I am Emmanuel Samani. Take care of yourself and be well. Enjoy your weekend. Until then, bye-bye.